Hi guys, today let's solve the very first problem of LeetCode, which is two sum. Here they have given an array of integer nums and an integer value target. We should return the indices of two numbers such that they add up to the target value. They've also mentioned one thing like each input would have exactly one solution and you may not use the same element twice. We can return the indices of such numbers in any order, that doesn't matter. I'm going to solve this sum using Python with two different approaches. The first one is brute force approach and the second one is optimized solution. First, let's see the brute force approach with an example. Let's take this example. Here they have given the target value as 9 and the nums array as 2, 7, 11, 15. We are going to use two for loops for this, and the first for loop is to keep track of each and every element in the nums array, and the second for loop is to keep track of each and every element's pair with the current pair, whether they adds up to the target value or not. At first we are going to consider this 2 as the current element and checks its pair with 7, 11 and 15 whether they adds up to the target or not. In this example, the first iteration itself adds up to the target and we can return the indexes I, j. In this example too, we are considering 3 as the current element and checks its pair with 2, 4, in which they are not giving the target value. Then next increment the current value to the next element in the nums. So now it's 2, and next we have to check its pair with the next each and every element, not with the previous element. Since 3 plus 2 is equal to 5 and 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, we really don't want to check it in backwards. We only have to check the elements that are present next to that. So we don't have to check the elements that are back to it. Just leave it. Here 2 plus 4 gives the target value and we can return the indexes I, j, which we are going to see in the code. And let's dive into the coding part. And first I'm just calculating the length of the given array nums. The first for loop is to keep track of each and every element in the nums array, so n, and for j in range of I plus 1. We just have to check each and every element next to the current element. So I'm just incrementing the j as I plus 1 till the end of the array. If nums of the current element, which is nums of I, plus nums of each and every element present next to the current element, which is nothing but nums of j, adds up to give the target value, just return I and j. They have written the output in a list format, so I've just written I and j in a list. Let's run it. Yes, all the test cases are passed. Let's submit and see. Yeah. Now let's see the second approach, which is optimized approach. For that I'm going to use a hash for solving it, which is nothing but a dictionary. Let's go to the description. I'm just creating an empty dictionary and going to iterate each and every element in the nums array. Since we are dealing with the values and the indexes, I'm going to use enumerate for value and the respective index for that. Num in nums. Here I is the index value of the element num. Here I'm going to create one variable called need to add, in which this element needs to be added to the current element so that they adds up to the target value. And I'm going to check whether this element is already present in the hash table or not. If it's already present in the hash, we just have to return the index of them. If need to add in hash return and list h of need to add comma I. I is nothing but the index of the current element. Else we just have to add the element in the hash. This num is going to be the value and I is going to be the index. Since it's a dictionary, it's going to have like, sorry, 2:0. For example, at first, key value pairs. Let's run and see it. Yes, all the test cases are passed. Let's submit and see it. Yeah. If you have seen in the previous approach, the time complexity of the brute force is much larger than the time complexity of the optimized solution, but the space complexity of the brute force approach is small compared to the optimized solution, in which we are creating another variable called h, which occupies some memory. In the previous example, we have just only used the nums arrays. That's it. We don't create any new variables for which consumes extra spaces. And the time complexity of the previous one is big O of n square, since we are iterating through two for loops, and the time complexity of for this optimized solution is only big O of n. That's it. So this is the difference between the two approaches. In interview point, they might reject when you have done the previous approach. It's not recommended to use that. I'm just saying that for each and every problem, there are multiple approaches to solve it, but you should know what is the optimized solution to solve that. Okay, thank you.